Welcome to Digge's Huddle, where I give my 2 cents on what I think are the biggest stories in the NFL. Now that could be Aaron Rodgers still being good at the ripe old age of 102, or it could be some player having Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce as his lock screen.
I honestly can't wait to see them. I got him as my one of my lock screens right now, so I could see it every day. Both of them.
So we're going to talk about Aaron Rodgers being Aaron Rodgers again. We're going to talk about, is Mel Kiper, has he completely lost his mind? And then finally, if the Panthers have completely ruined Bryce Young. He's sitting down on the bench now, so we're going to get into that. So if you love football as much as I do, then stay tuned. So Aaron Rodgers looks like he's back. Looks like he's back. We all saw what happened last year. It's almost become a meme at this point. He came out last year, played, I think, one or two plays, tore the Achilles, had to work his way back. So we're kind of looking at Aaron Rodgers at this point as someone who hasn't played in 2 years almost. And then also, he's someone that's coming off of an Achilles, and he's 40 years old. So these first two games have been pretty pedestrian, nothing really special from Aaron Rodgers so far. But yesterday, on Thursday Night Football, that looked like the Aaron Rodgers that I saw 10 years ago, not 15 years ago, but when he was playing and when he was in his athletic prime, that looked like that Aaron Rodgers. I saw him moving better than I've seen him move in years. I've seen him reset and throw across his body. I saw him throw an amazing pass to Garrett Wilson in the corner of the end zone, racing to the edge on that pylon. I saw Aaron Rodgers do everything that you would expect from Aaron Rodgers. So it just seems like once you hit 40 years old in the NFL as a quarterback and you're a Hall of Fame kind of quarterback, it seems like they just turn the mileage back and all of a sudden you're a new man. Because that's exactly what happened with Tom Brady. People thought that Tom Brady was finished. People thought that Tom Brady had to retire. And then all of a sudden, he just wakes up one day and he's running faster than he ever has in his career. He's making all kinds of throws. He's making throws deep downfield. And it's like that 40-year-old grown man, old head rejuvenation just kicks in as soon as you hit 40 at the quarterback position. So if Aaron Rodgers can play at this level every week, the Jets have to be an AFC championship lock. They have to be. They are so talented. When you look at their team from top to bottom, it was really about the offensive line, and it was really about Aaron Rodgers. Is Aaron Rodgers still the same player that he has been? And it looks like he is for now. For now, it looks like he is. Now, Tyron Smith gave up 2 sacks, and Tyron Smith is kind of struggling. He's a guy that his clock hasn't reset yet. He's not 40 yet, but he's getting up there. And he's starting to struggle with some injuries that he's had throughout his career. So if Tyron Smith can kind of clean that up, and you got Elijah Vera-Tucker pitching a shutout. The dude is amazing at guard. The Jets' offensive line is coming together. They got Garrett Wilson on the outside. They got Lazard making plays, the former Packer with Aaron Rodgers. And you got Bryce Hall, who's catching the ball really well, who got destroyed trying to make a block, but made the block successfully yesterday. And then also Bryce Hall can run between the tackles. He can run on the outside. Bryce Hall is a premier running back in the NFL. So you have the three-headed monster. You got Aaron Rodgers, you got Bryce Hall, you got Garrett Wilson. And I think if this offense can sustain that level of execution, that level of play, it's only going to make the people around them better, and it's only going to make things easier for that dominant defense that has Quentin Williams and Sauce Gardner and just guys all over the field. So the Jets, in my opinion, right now, and this is coming from someone who does not really care for Aaron Rodgers. I really don't. But right now, it's looking like the Jets are a lock for the AFC Championship from what I saw, if they can stay healthy, of course. I want to talk about Mel Kiper. Now, Mel Kiper is someone that I think gets a lot of hate for no reason. Well, there are reasons, but I think he gets a lot of unnecessary hate. And I say that because when Mel Kiper speaks, he is such a captivating speaker and captivating personality. He just has a look to him that just grabs people's attention. He's such a captivating person that when he makes an opinion and he's wrong, it goes bananas. When he came out and said that he believed in Daniel Jones, and me as a Giants fan, I was all for it. I was excited because we had someone in the media supporting our quarterback. But people remember it when Mel Kiper's wrong. It doesn't kind of slide off his back. People always remember it. And Mel Kiper, in an interview, pretty much said, and I quote, he attacked the cover two. Mel Kiper attacked the cover two. So let's go. And I quote, so you get 25 yards off the line of scrimmage. That's where you talk about taking it to an extreme. So what I would say is you have a yardage away from the line of scrimmage that those two high safeties can be no deeper than that. If they go deeper, it's a penalty. Now the NFL world has absolutely blown up and gone after Mel Kiper for this. And it makes sense because it's cover two and cover four. The safeties are playing 25 yards back. That's fine. But have you seen Patrick Mahomes? Have you seen Josh Allen? Have you seen these quarterbacks that are out here? If your safeties aren't 25 yards deep and you got a quarterback that can run around and throw it 70 yards, what do you expect NFL defenses to do? What do you expect them to do? Because if these defenses don't play this cover two and quarters coverage the entire game or the majority of the game, you're going to see all of those touchdowns start to come back. You're going to see big play after big play. Tyreek Hill and Patrick Mahomes have absolutely broken the NFL. They've absolutely broken the NFL. You're not going into any game unless you have horrible personnel on offense. You're not going to go into any game and say that you're just not going to be able to just say, we're going to just line them up and we're going to play cover one and we're just going to have one safety deep, or we're going to play cover three the majority of the game and expect not to get shredded. Did you see what happened to the Cowboys defense when they were not playing quarters coverage and cover two this past weekend? Did you see that? Have you seen the Washington defense? Now, they just played my New York Giants, and Malik Neighbors shredded them, but no one really beat them over the top because we're deficient in a lot of places. But week one, did you see the Buccaneers shred that defense? When you don't play that quarters coverage, you open your defenders up to everything. There's when you open them up to every single receiver that can get down the field in a hurry, it's open season. Because the quarterback play at this point, whether it's because the quarterback play has risen or because it's been simplified, the quarterback play is too good to allow these folks to be able to take shots downfield like this. So I want to take a look at some of the stats through 2 weeks. So there's been 69 passing touchdowns. That's the fewest since 2006 through 2 weeks. 7.1 average target of depth. That's lowest that has ever been that they've recorded. 41% design run plays. That's the highest since 2008. 30-second time of possession play per play. That is the slowest since 2008. 545 blitzes is the fewest on record. And 46% too high safety percentage. That's the highest it's ever been. So the NFL goes through ebbs and they go through flows. The Wildcat, the read option, the Air Coryell, all of these things have come out of the NFL trying to have an answer to something that is really hurting them. Now, you had the 46 Bear, you had the cover two, you had the Tampa two. You've had all sorts of defenses too. So it goes back and forth of an offense destroys the league. All the other offenses copy that offense, and then defenses have to adjust. Now, right now, if a receiver catches the ball across the middle, you cannot lay that receiver out. You can't really be physical with that receiver if they catch the ball across the middle. So what are your options at this point? You've got to just be there to tackle the guy. You don't want one person being deep when someone catches a slant across the middle. You don't want one person being deep. You want as many people back there as possible. So I completely understand why defensive coordinators just backing the safeties up, and just saying, let's make these quarterbacks who are playing in college style offenses, who have been used to just making big play after big play, let's make them drive the length of the field, not make mistakes, and score points on us. And when you take a look at the passing touchdowns have gone down. 69 passing touchdowns through 2 weeks, the fewest since 2006. They've gone down. How many 4 or 5 touchdown pass seasons are we used to seeing in the first 2 weeks of the NFL when everyone who has just played in the NFL, everyone has just played in the preseason, and everyone's sort of getting used to everything? Now it's sort of the other way. Offenses are struggling, and defenses are coming into the NFL ready to go week 1, week 2. So it'll be interesting to see how this continues to develop. But what's my reaction to Mel Kiper and his quote? My initial takeaway is, duh, they've been completely out of hand, and it makes perfect sense that they're doing this. And if your safeties are 25 yards off the line of scrimmage and the other team can't combat that, whether that be short passes, whether that be running the football, if you cannot get a defense out of a deep safety shell, your offense isn't good. And if they decide not to come out of that defensive shell, you should be able to move the ball all day long. So do I agree with Mel Kiper? Absolutely not. Is he crazy? I mean, of course, Mel Kiper's crazy. Have you seen this guy? Have you seen Mel Kiper? Of course he's crazy. But I don't think it's that crazy of a take. He's just thinking about what happened with Peyton Manning and all the quarterbacks back in the day where the entire field was open. But it's a new world. You can't hit people across the middle. You can't touch the quarterback. You can't dive at the quarterback's legs. You can't dive at the quarterback's head. You can't breathe on the quarterback if he's trying to slide. It's a different world. And for now, this is simply what defenses have to do to survive in this league of talented wide receivers who would have all been the best wide receiver in the league years ago, and talented quarterbacks. So watching Bryce Young this year and watching Sam Darnold, it just makes me think, because I was someone who never really believed in Sam Darnold. I didn't think that he would be a successful NFL quarterback coming out, because I'm just not really a subscriber to someone who has not proven that they can be an effective, constantly productive quarterback in college football, to where I believe in them and they're just all of a sudden going to just take a step up. That sort of happened with Patrick Mahomes, but he was very productive also. But I did not believe in Sam Darnold coming in. So when he came to the Jets and he struggled, I wasn't surprised. But at the same time, absolutely horrible situation. And that makes me think of Bryce Young. Can Bryce Young turn things around like Sam Darnold, like Geno Smith, whenever he lands in his next destination? I think that's a good question, and that's sort of where I've been thinking lately about Bryce Young. So he got dropped off into a horrible situation. Anytime you're going to the worst team in the NFL, you're not going to have a good supporting cast. You're going to be looked at as the savior. You're going to be looked at as that guy who galvanizes the troops, uplifts everyone around you, and really people expect you to be competitive in this league, being the first overall pick. They want you to be good 5-6 games in. They want you to be really good 5-6 games in. Bryce Young got drafted last year. He is, 2 games into his sophomore season, and they've decided to bench him. And I think the biggest reason why they've decided to bench him is because of C.J. Stroud. I think that's clear. But also when you take a look at C.J. Stroud, he's got Nico Collins. He's got Tank Dell. He's got Stephon Diggs now. He's got a great offensive line. He's got a defensive-minded coach who's really got those guys playing defense. So C.J. Stroud is in a much better situation. But taking it back to Bryce Young, he may just not be able to get that situation in Carolina. They can't protect him. His receivers have been a disappointment. To say the least, the receivers have been a disappointment. Adam Thielen has been the only guy, and Adam Thielen is not the same Adam Thielen that he came to be in Minnesota. When you look at Sam Darnold's start of his career, the exact same thing. A guy I didn't believe in. I didn't believe in Bryce Young either, but a guy I didn't believe in was Sam Darnold. And someone that came into a situation that was not very good. The Jets they weren't able to protect him. They mic'd him up on Monday Night Football and got him getting recorded saying seeing ghosts, and they weren't able to fight hard enough to get that out of there. So it's just been a lot for Sam Darnold as well as Bryce Young. Now Sam Darnold left. He went to the Panthers. He went to the 49ers. I think he may have gone to one other team. But at the end of the day, Sam Darnold has landed on the Vikings, and he's got a great offensive coordinator. He's got Justin freaking Jefferson and a good offense for the Vikings. And he looks good. Now, can Bryce Young do that? I don't think so. And I don't think so because of the size. People talk about size all the time. They say, Bryce Young, he's 5'10", 205, but Kyler Murray may be shorter than that. Well, Kyler Murray may literally be the closest thing to Barry Sanders we've seen at quarterback. He's also probably about 15 pounds heavier than Bryce Young, while maybe being an inch shorter than Bryce Young. And he's got a rocket arm. Kyler Murray might be able to throw the football out of the stadium. Then you look at Drew Brees. First off, Drew Brees is 6 feet. And let's understand that first. So that's 2 inches taller than Bryce Young off the bat. And I don't even believe that Bryce Young is 5'10". But Drew Brees is 6 feet. And Drew Brees is a Hall of Fame quarterback. Drew Brees does things that people can't do. Just the same way that Tom Brady's 6'5" and Daniel Jones is 6'5". Just because they both have the same body type or the same height and maybe the same weight, and Daniel Jones is physically stronger and he can run faster, doesn't mean that he's a better player. The same way that Tom Brady can see the field better than Daniel Jones is the same way that Drew Brees sees the field better than, let's keep it on the same topic, than Daniel Jones and a lot of 6'5" guys. Drew Brees was unique and Hall of Fame level at being able to detect who's open and being able to navigate that pocket for offensive linemen that were standing in front of him that were much taller than him. So I don't think that's a valid comparison. Now, Bryce Young, you literally see him trying to tiptoe over, trying to tiptoe to see over the offensive line. So that's really concerning. I also don't think Bryce Young has a strong enough arm to make up for the size. You have to be either Drew Brees level cerebral, Drew Brees level of processing, or you have to be someone who has that plus athleticism that can make up for the height. And he doesn't have that. He doesn't have the weight. He doesn't have the height. And he doesn't have that level of elite processing. So could Bryce Young maybe succeed somewhere else? Maybe in the perfect situation. Maybe if they are all their offensive linemen were 6'2" instead of some being 6'5", 6'7". But I just don't see it happening. So 2 things can be true. Bryce Young can be absolutely being ruined by the Carolina Panthers, and they could not be helping him. But also, Bryce Young could just not be cut out to be a successful starting quarterback in the NFL. So as always, we're going to run through every game this week 3 and pick winners. So far, I'm not doing too well. I'm at 12-20. This past week, a ton of games that I picked just went completely wrong. And I got to find a way that I can make up for this. So let's look at the Giants and the Browns. The Browns are a 6.5 point favorite over the Giants. I'm going to have to pick against the Giants this week. I picked them to win the last 2 weeks. Hopefully, if I pick them to lose, they'll win. And if not, I'll make up some ground on this game. Myles Garrett is kind of questionable. The Browns injury report is pretty bad, but the Giants have not proven that they can beat anybody. So let's go with the Browns. The Bears at the Colts. Now the Colts are a 1.5 point favorite. Not sure how this worked out. I know Caleb Williams hasn't looked good. But the same way I just talked about Bryce Young, Caleb Williams has not played a bunch of football yet in the NFL. Let's let things develop. before we say, oh, he can't play in the NFL. He's a college player and he's running around and he can't play in the structure. Let's let things develop a little bit more. He's also playing against Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson is a guy with a ton of tools, all the tools in the world, but for some reason this Colts team just can't seem to get over the hump. I've picked them to win, I think, the last 2 weeks, and they've let me down both times. So the Colts are favorite, but I'm going to go with the Bears because I think Caleb Williams is going to start to put things together. I do think he can play in structure a lot better than people give him credit for. And let's see, this is a pick 'em kind of game. It could go either way, but I'm going to go with the Bears for now. Now let's look at the Texans at the Vikings. Minnesota has been on a tear. I did not expect this. As a Giants fan, I came into that game week 1 thinking we have a pretty good shot to beat Minnesota. I'm not going to lock it in, but I think we have a good shot. And when you look at Sam Darnold, coming back to MetLife Stadium against the Giants on their 100th year anniversary, he looked amazing. I mean, the ball barely hit the turf. And then last week, he looked amazing. So who am I to stop this momentum that the Vikings are building with this offense? Who am I but someone who can see that C.J. Stroud is on the other team? Now, the Texans are a much more talented team than the Vikings. They don't have a Justin Jefferson, but they got 3 guys who are about 70% of them. And you're looking at this is a Texans team that is led by, again, C.J. Stroud. And I just think he's one of the premier quarterbacks in the NFL already. I already have him in my top 6, 7 quarterbacks in the league, and I think that's going to contribute to the Texans pulling out another win this week against Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold is progressing as a quarterback, and he is putting up better tape as a quarterback. But in a one-on-one with a guy like C.J. Stroud, I'm going to take C.J. Stroud 10 times out of 10. And if I'm wrong, it's something I'm willing to be wrong about. So next, you got Eagles at the Saints. The Saints are a 2.5-point favorite. I love to see that as a Giants fan. I love to see the Eagles being an underdog. And the Saints put it on Dallas last week. Did you see that? That was ridiculous. Now, I want that offensive coordinator to come right to New York next year. But I'm going to pick the Eagles because I just don't think the Saints are going to do this every week. And the Eagles have a really good football team. Like, let's not forget about how good this Eagles team is. For them to be underdogs here, they're in the dome. Hopefully that contributes to them not being able to win. Well, my brain and my gut is telling me pick the Eagles. So I'll pick the Eagles. Chargers at the Steelers. The Steelers, I continue to look at this team and say, how are they winning football games? How are they winning football games? Because Mike Tomlin has got to be a Hall of Fame coach just on this alone. He's been there for forever. He's been there literally forever. The Steelers, for some reason, they hire a coach and that guy stays there for 20 years and they actually win and they all win Super Bowls. Mike Tomlin just cannot be a loser. He just can't. He just doesn't have it in his vocabulary. He doesn't have it in his ability to be a losing football coach. And because of that, I'm going to have to pick the Steelers. I just saw a video of Justin Herbert's ankle taped up from the toe all the way up to the high ankle. So he's not going to be 100%. Of course, he'll probably look 100% because they're going to shoot his ankle up with everything under the sun. But he's someone that is coming in banked up. And the Steelers, their defense is playing out of control. And because of that, I'm going to have to go with the Steelers. It's at Heinz Field. And the Steelers, I think, will find a way to pull this game out. Halfway through, about Broncos at Buccaneers. The Bucs are -6.5. So that means they're 6.5-point favorites here. They're going against the Broncos. I tried to throw the Broncos a bone early on in the season, and this is why I'm 12-20 right now. I'm going to play it cool, and I'm going to go with the Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield is completely turned around. I'm glad that he's on a new team, and he's showing himself to be a franchise quarterback again because I think he did get to that level on the Browns, and that whole situation kind of got out of control. So it's good that he's back to being in good standing and being a good player again. So I'm going to take the Bucs, and I will take the points. I usually don't take the points. I don't really try to get into that, but I think the Buccaneers are going to put it on the Broncos pretty heavy. pretty thick. Panthers at Raiders. The Raiders are 5-point favorites. We know everything the Panthers have to bring to the table, and it's not much. I'm not really that high on the Raiders, but the Raiders will win this game, and they will win it by at least 5 points. The Panthers are a team that is in serious contention for stealing the top pick from the New York Giants and going 0-17. They are honestly the worst team in football, and if they find a way to win, it will be because another team had a horrible, no good day. That's the only way I can see them winning any of these games. And this might be one of their best shots against the Raiders. You got Andy Dalton coming in. Maybe that elevates their level of play. If I'm the Panthers, I would have left Bryce Young in there because Bryce Young is probably going to lead you to the promised land of being able to replace him. Dolphins at Seahawks. Seahawks 4.5-point favorites. I'm going to go with the Seahawks. Skylar Thompson, I think that's his name. Skylar Thompson is playing at quarterback, and if that's not his last name, I got the Skylar part right at least. He's not Tua. They may be able to find a way to win. I can see this game being very close because they do have those weapons, but I'm going to go with the Seattle Seahawks this time. Lions at Cardinals. Now, the Cardinals looked pretty good last week. They really scored a bunch of points. Marvin Harrison Jr. had his coming of age game. But the Lions, I just think too highly of. I think they're going to go to the NFC Championship game, if not the Super Bowl. So I'm going to pick the Lions to pull it out over the Cardinals. The Cardinals are underdogs by 3 points anyway. So I'm picking the Lions against the Cardinals. Ravens at Cowboys. I'm going to go with Ravens. The Cowboys are a 1-point underdog. The Ravens, I think, have a better squad from top to bottom. I think Derrick Henry has got to really start kicking it into gear. I think Lamar Jackson is going to have a really great season. I think he's going to be up there in MVP voting. Come on, Digge. Come on. All right. Lamar Jackson's going to be up there in MVP voting. And the Cowboys got torn apart last week. So this could be a bounce back game for the Cowboys, but playing it safe, I'm going with the Ravens. Niners at Rams. Niners are 6.5-point favorites. If I wasn't down so bad, I would pick against this because I just like the Rams for some reason for winning some of these games, especially division. But I'm going to go ahead and go with the Niners and play it safe, and I'll take the points. And then finally, we got the Chiefs at the Falcons for your last game on Sunday Night Football. The Falcons are 3-point underdogs on the Chiefs. I would expect that spread to be bigger, but I guess they finally have faith restored in Kirk Cousins. So I'm going to go with the Chiefs because why not? I think they'll win it by more than 3, but I do think the Falcons are going to bounce back, and I do think the Falcons are going to be a playoff team this year. Finally, you got the Jaguars, you got the Bills. This is going to be played on the Bills' home field, and the Bills are a 5-point favorite, and the Jaguars are another team I've been high on that I've been trying to, give them some wins and give them the benefit of the doubt, but they have not done it. So because of that, I'm going with the Bills. I'm taking the favorites. I got to pick the favorites because all of these underdogs that I just put all of this faith into have let me down and put me in this hole. So you're sitting on the couch, you haven't subscribed to Digge's Huddle, your life's passing you by. You say, maybe I'll do it tomorrow. No, do it right now. You sit on the computer all day anyhow, subscribe to Digge's Huddle and come back and watch this next week.